that we have that responsibility and that we will all exercise that responsibility. Thank you.
Request for information and or future agenda items.
Trustee.
Last month I had requested some information about the busing delays as far as special ed goes. I have received additional information that that's continuing to be a problem, so I just wanted to throw that out there, that I'm interested in that information. I know I haven't given you much time yet, but it continues to be a problem, so I really think we need to speak to that.
Yeah, I think there was some of that was put in board briefs, but there's some challenges with the Trinity in the report.
Good evening, Trustee. Did you? So I did put quite a bit in the board briefs.
I haven't finished looking at it yet.
Okay, I
got a lot of
it out
plates.
because I thought it might come up, so I can give you the hard copy.
Okay.
But I can sum it up for you as well. So we were aware, our director of transportation was aware that delays had been a concern, and Trinity, and he's been communicating that with Trinity, because the delays are all involving Trinity Transportation, the services that they provide. He did say that at the time, so this was like last board meeting, that they had just switched under new management, and it had only been 2 weeks since the new person was in place and was supposed to be addressing all of these concerns that we've expressed. Now it's been 6 weeks, about 6 weeks now, so we are ready to revisit it. I did also ask someone that I know that works in the district that said her son is on one of the Trinity buses, and she was upset about the delays, and she felt that it had improved, but that's just one person. We don't have any means to knowing what my question was for Mark Andrews, our Director of Transportation, was, I'm sorry. No. Oh yeah, Mark, you're welcome to join. My questions to him were specifically about, do we have any way to know what time drop-offs are and what time pickups are? Like, is there a time stamp when they make a stop? And so our buses that we own are not equipped to do that. And he has requested that information from Trinity, but they haven't had it, they haven't been able to provide it. Do you want to speak any further? I mean, I summed it up.
The timing of it as well. So there's no software really that's available out there to determine if a bus that you can just run a report to see if it's running on time. So the only way you can do it is to physically go through the GPS and look at the history of each specific bus. That's what me and Mason requested, and I literally just got some of that data about 2 hours before the board meeting, so we can forward that out.
Okay, appreciate it. It's an ongoing concern.
And then, do you want to share? Mark also said that the data that we get, so how do we know if they're on time or if there's concerns? Usually, building administrators will complain to Mark, hey, this has happened with whatever the situation is.
And they hear it from the parents.
And they hear it from their parents. Sometimes parents go direct to transportation as well. And so we actually talked about possibly like surveying our administrators to say like, what kind of service are you seeing? What are you hearing from parents? So we can kind of get some of our own anecdotal information as well. So more information to come.
Thank you.
And
I do have a question, since Trinity seems to be the only game in town right now, and we have a contract with them, what's our carrot and stick with them if, you know, because they kind of can just, you know, say, hey, this is how we're gonna operate and take it or leave it.
We can recruit their bus drivers and buy more buses.
Yeah, Mason's been working and HR's been working really hard to, let me scoot in.
Oh yeah.
To recruit some drivers, and we've been getting some better traction. We've been getting some interviews, so that's a good sign. The carrot that we have at Trinity is we did back in 15-16, we did a 3-year extension with them, and that sunsets at the end of this school year. So as of July 1st, we're going to be looking at an option of going out and rebidding.
Are there any viable other transportation?
Absolutely, there's definitely companies that are just as big or bigger. You have ABC and you have Dearborn that are as equivalent.
We better make that clear to them that,
yeah.
Okay.
How are they able to get drivers and we can't?
That's a good question. I would say that they're doing a good job of it, because a lot of Trinity's problems is because if you boil it down, there's driver shortage. So the big problem that our parents are experiencing is when they don't have drivers, and that's why we're going to them, because we're struggling getting drivers. So their whole office staff is going out on the road, leaving just a skeleton crew, and there's a communication breakdown, and that's really the crux of the problem that our parents are going through right now, is the communication breakdown that they're not being told, we're not being told that the buses are being delayed, to communicate that to them so they can prepare. Then that really boils down to driver shortage, because their drivers are normally in the office on those days or out on the road, leaving maybe just 1 or 2 people for emergencies.
All right, then, be something we continue to keep our eye on.
Absolutely.
Can I just plug the
Yeah.
stipend, the
Yeah.
referral stipend?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, it's an opportunity to plug this. So I'll be sharing this memo with all of you soon. I haven't shared it with the staff yet, but all staff, so we're implementing referral stipend for the hard to fill position. So bus drivers, so any of our employees that refer us a bus driver or substitute bus driver, because that's really where the shortage is right now that we feel, a custodian, a parapro, special ed parapro. So once they work 20, so if they're an employee that we hire after the probationary period, the employee that referred them will get $50 referral stipend. And then if it's a substitute, like a substitute teacher that they referred and that sub worked 20 days in our district, then our staff member will get $50. And so right now we just set a budgeted a certain amount, and we'll revisit it to see, like, is it effective? Are we, are people, are we getting more positions filled, more sub positions filled? And so that's just one step in the direction of trying to be more aggressive, and because we all know someone and we have a huge district. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Trustee Lane?
I have a couple of things that I'd like to ask about. So, we're now 3 years, I believe, on implementing, starting to seal of bioliteracy. I think we've graduated 3 classes. So I was wondering, Dr. Malenko, whether Dr. Patterson is able to do any kind of analysis, even an anecdotal summary for us, just to know how many graduates, are we increasing in our graduates, are we dropping off, are they in certain categories, and then do we know whether they're finding it useful job-wise or not. Another thing that we were talking about last fall that I haven't seen referenced lately is Dearborn Promise Scholarship, whether that committee has been set up and if people are on it. I do remember that former trustee Nasser was interested in serving. So I'd just like an update on what's going on with that. There used to be a publication that came out of the administrative office called Board Report, and I haven't seen that in a long, long time. I don't know whether that still exists. You used to go to all the buildings. But I did want to ask whether, since I noted earlier that the college and the district seem to be integrating better. Mr. Capluna's usually here, or someone else from the college, but yeah, I know he's here right now, but my question to throw out there is, how aware are both entities of what's going on, besides the heads of each organization? Is that getting down to the lower levels? So if we express at this meeting that we want more integration between the high school math and the college, so that we know what they're looking for at the college level, is that filtering down? So that's my question. It seems like it would be easier to mention it in one place rather than us mentioning it twice at both places. So I'd just like to know whether that's getting down.
Piggyback on your thoughts too, Mary, it's just communication in general between the two entities. I don't know if there's one person that facilitates that, or perhaps there should be just something to make sure that that bridge is crossed completely and evenly.
Yeah, so we need to interface them well. I wanted to also mention that we're entering into the celebration season, the best day of the year, graduation day. So I know we'll have graduations and promotions and concerts and all that stuff coming up, but that precedes summer, and what comes during summer is summer learning loss for some students. I wanted to ask President Petchlikov if we could have a presentation, even if very brief, before everybody gets out for the summer, Dr. Maleko, we had a really nice list that we were, I want to say Dr. Shankman, maybe somebody could correct me, a while ago, she had a list of suggestions for parents. Do these over the summer. Make sure your high schooler is reading. Make sure your elementary student is doing this. So before people take off for summer, I hope that all of our schools can get out to push out to our students that have a great summer, enjoy yourself, relax and everything, but don't leave learning behind in the classroom. Remember, summer you need to be learning and keeping up on your skills too. So.
I recall Dr. Chopel giving that type of presentation as well.
And she did last year, I think,
Yeah.
and I think it might have been.
Lots of fun
recent.
stuff, measuring things when you go to the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
lots of fun
Practical
things.
things. So I think that there already exists a document.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that the schools pump out to the parents, but we can get you that information.
And can we do that before we all break for the summer? So before everybody's gone and swimming and all the other fun stuff, so. One more thing I wanted to mention, it's National Volunteer Week. We wouldn't exist in America. 10% of our economy, I've read, is volunteers. So we have so many volunteers in so many facets of our district. I want to thank anyone who volunteers in whatever fashion. And then lastly, I want to throw out for people, particularly for our mainstream community, probably if they live in Dearborn, they know that Ramadan is coming up, but that will may affect our Muslim community. It may affect our schools. So it will be starting May 5th or 6th. So just for people to be aware of it.
Okay, Trustee Barry had.
Continuing this theme of summer, on the way in here is a beautiful day. I drove by one of the elementaries, and this had to be 30, 40 kids out there, swings, basketball court, on the track. So I guess maybe next meeting maybe we can clarify what is our policy outside the school hours for
Use of school
use of
playground.
schools, yeah. I've seen it where some schools get a lot of use, and I also seen some schools where they have the fences locked, or they take the basketball rim down for the summer, what have you. So it should be the same throughout the district for everybody. I know this past decade we lost upper parks, some pools, so if we can create an activity for our young ones during the summer, I would support that. But I guess the next meeting I'd like to see what is the policy.
I think it's individual to school, and I will tell you why, because I get a lot of complaints through the neighborhood associations because some of those school playgrounds back up to residences, and a lot of late night activity, especially with the basketball courts, which is disruptive to the sleep of the people who back up to where they were, such as Henry Ford Elementary School. So they took down their rims because the neighbors were complaining that there were adults coming on late at night and using the playground facilities to play basketball games, and it was right up against their fence lines.
I can't think of any elementary school that doesn't back up. To,
Right, and so
houses
that's
or
why.
faces houses.
But
whatever.
that is why that some schools have responded by taking down the rims, so that because of complaints from the neighborhood with late night activity on the school grounds.
Sure, but I still would like to see what is our policy? Certain schools, let's talk about it.
Trustee McDonald.
As Trustee Lane mentioned, Volunteer Week, I just want to throw a plug out there for our own Genwa Kirkaba of the PTA Council. She will, and I'm going to be presenting, very excited to present her the award at the Mayor's Arts Award this Wednesday for Volunteer of the Year for all of the incredible work that she's done for a decade or so as the chair of the Reflections program for the district. Amazing work, and she's going to, she really deserves it. So anyone that would like to come out to the Mayor's Arts Award on Wednesday, it starts at 7 at the Performing Arts Center, and give her a little cheer and a thank you for all of her hard work. I'm sure she'd appreciate that support.
And I have one announcement that I was contacted this afternoon. The American Association of University Women Dearborn is having their summer book sale, and it will be at the DISC at the Dearborn Ice Skating Center in the upstairs. June 1st and 2nd from 10 to 5 p.m. And their proceeds support Dearborn High School, Fortson High School, Ethel Ford, HFC, and U of M Dearborn. They can also use any gently used books donations as well. They're teaming up because Henry Ford Centennial Library is going to be closed in May through September, so they thought this would be a good time to advertise this summer book sale to help summer reading programs for the students in the area, as well as create a donation pool for our schools. So I told them that I would get that information out there. Thank you. All right, is everybody done with announcements? Next, please.
Future meeting dates: Monday, April 8th, 2019, special meeting immediately following this meeting. Monday, April 15th, 2019, HFC meeting, 7 p.m. in the Rosenau Boardroom at the Administrative Service and Conference Center at Henry Ford College. Monday, May 13th, 2019, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. And Monday, May 20th, 2019, HFC meeting, 7 p.m. at the Rosenau Boardroom at the Administrative and Services and Conference Center at Henry Ford College.
Then we are adjourned for the regular meeting. Now, we are going to take a 10-minute recess so that everybody who doesn't want to remain for the special meeting can have the opportunity to leave. And those who need to look for blue cards or stretch their legs have that opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, I am. I'll let you have call back.
How are you? Yes, but I'll find out. When I do,
Thank you so much. Hello. Hello everyone, this is Hussein for WhatsApp Media Network. We are at the Dearborn Administrative Building for Dearborn Public School here in West Dearborn at 18700 Odette Street in Dearborn. The regular meeting just finished, the first regular meeting for the Board of Education. Now we have a special meeting to appoint a new trustee. Trustee Fadwa Hammoud, she resigned in March of 2019 because she took a position as Solicitor General for the state of Michigan. And because of the positions and demand of her position, she cannot continue serving Dearborn Public Schools as a trustee. So she resigned. After the resignation, Dearborn Public School released this press release requesting people to basically apply for the vacant position. They received many applications. We have posted the names of the people who applied. Interviews took place last week. This week, which is today now on Monday, the meeting is going to start in about 5 minutes, and we are expecting the board to appoint a new trustee. So the way how it's going to go, each board member will be voting for their choice. And then if we have a majority, then that candidate will be chosen to replace Trustee Fadwa Hammoud. So we're gonna bring you live the next meeting, the special meeting, as it comes. So stay with us on this live stream. If you have a question, feel free to write the question on the comment box. Make sure you share this live stream so more residents in Dearborn can become informed and engaged about the process, especially when it comes to our schools, because we pay taxes so those schools can operate. So this is your tax money. Make sure you are engaged, make sure you are informed, make sure you come to those meetings and voice your opinion and your concerns. So, Over there? Okay, but I mean, we're still live, so. So how does it go? To get 4 votes? Is it the first round, or does it go this? Or it stays the same for? And would they be sworn in today, or it's going to be on the
It would be the 10th, you know, where.
next meeting?
They'll have to come into the office.
Procedural point of view.
It was nice. Nice to get out of town for a little while.
Asked for a couple information so we can inform you guys about the process. As long as the candidate gets 4 votes out of the 6, I believe, because we have 6 members now since Fadwa is not a trustee anymore, they're going to be selected to be the next trustee in Dearborn Public Schools. So there are going to be some public comments. I see some people pulling in some blue cards. You have to pull in a blue cards for you to be able to speak. So if some people spoke, they're going to be speaking before the vote, and then after the public participation, whoever speaks, I think Tim is going to be saying, explaining how the process is going to go, and then the board members each will say what their decision is and how did they make their decision, and then they'll say what their vote is for. So as we said, if there's 4 votes, the candidate's selected to continue the term. And they only continue the term until the next election. The next election is going to happen in 2020. So they appoint you as a trustee, and then when election comes up, you have to run so you can retain your position. So whoever is going to be selected today to take the position for the trustee position is going to be only serve until 2020. After 2020, they have to run for election and win so they can continue on the Board of Education meeting. We've seen one example very recently with Celia Nasser. She was appointed to the board, but then Celia decided not to run during election. So it's up to the candidate who's selected whether or not to run for their seat when they're appointed to run for the seat in the next election in 2020. So stay with us as we bring you the meeting. It's going to start very shortly, probably in like another 2 to 3 minutes we're going to start. So we're going to keep the live stream up, and we'll see how it's going to go. We're still live from the Dearborn Administrative Building here in Dearborn, and we're still waiting for the Board of Education special meeting to start. It's going to start very shortly. As we explained to you guys very shortly, that the meeting is going to start. Whoever candidate is going to need 4 votes to be appointed as the new board member. And whoever gets appointed, they're only going to serve until the next election, which is in 2020, and after that, okay, so like we said, the next one is going to be appointed until the next election, which is in 2020, and then after that they have to run to retain their seat. So this is how the process is going to go. It's very simple. You have 4 votes, you're appointed, you serve until 2020, then you have to run in the election so you can retain your seat. Very simple process. There are so many candidates that applied, and we'll see how this is going to go. We'll see how this is going to go. We've seen some, members from the community coming up to watch the meeting here, but it's very few, not like recent years. I don't know what's the reason for that, but we're not seeing much attendance, to be honest with you. Usually for appointment, this hall will be filled, but today it's basically there is some people, probably 20, 25, 30 max. I'm gonna try to see if there is any questions so I can answer you guys. If not, we'll just flip the screen so you guys can watch the meeting. If you have any question, feel free to basically write the question, and then what time will they make the appointment? Leslie, it's very shortly, within the next 20 minutes. We should know who's gonna be the next trustee that's gonna replace Fadwa Hammoud. So the meeting is gonna start in 2 minutes exactly. Actually, they're taking their spots now, and they're gonna start. We're gonna hear some public comments, some public participation, and after that, they're gonna basically make their vote. I have a question. Is this an open meeting? Yes, this is an open meeting. You can come here to 18700 Odette Street in Dearborn and watch the meeting, or you can watch it on our live stream, or you can watch it on Dearborn Public School live stream. So either or. I'm trying to answer the question. Whoever question we get in, we're trying to answer it. I'm gonna go to my person to the WhatsApp. Hey, to see if we have more questions there. Okay, let's see. Make sure you guys share this video so we can reach more people. Okay, this seems some of the question we're getting. If you have any question, feel free to write them so we can basically answer it for you guys. Okay, so people are given their blue cards so they can speak. What time does the meeting end? Around 9. Let's say around 9. Another 30 minutes the meeting should end. It's a special meeting. It's a very short meeting. It's just to elect a new trustee. So that's just the meeting for. Okay, thank you for the questions, guys. Make sure if you have any question, feel free to write it. I'll make sure to basically answer it to the best of my ability. And if I don't know it, I'll do like I did 5 minutes ago, go and ask and come with the right answer, with the facts for you guys, because we try to bring you an unbiased, professional, and fact-based news. This is what WhatsApp media is all about. We are about unbiased, fact-based, and independent news. So we bring you a lot of programs, a lot of news reports, a lot of live coverage. Make sure you follow the page, make sure you like the page, so you always can stay up to date with what's going on in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, in the area here in Michigan, and whatever is interesting in the world. So make sure you like the page, make sure you turn on, receive notifications, so you can always stay on top of things with us. I'm trying to see if there is more comments so I can answer them before the meeting start, because when the meeting starts, I cannot talk. So I'm using my time wisely so I can answer as many questions for you guys as possible. So like I said in the beginning of this live stream, this was made after the resignation of Trustee Fadwa Hammoud, because she took a position in the state as Solicitor General, and because of the demand of her new position, she wasn't able to continue serving Dearborn Public Schools. The meeting is going to start very shortly, so I'm going to flip the screen so you guys can see the board, and make sure you share this live stream, so more residents here in Dearborn can be engaged and educated. The meeting is going to start, so I'm going to flip the screen. Make sure you share the stream, make sure you comment, and stay engaged.
do you mean? Oh, to go to the back?
A lot of people trying to leave. Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of people. They weren't expecting everybody to do it.
The schoolers and their parents.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the School District of the City of Dearborn special meeting on, what is today? April 8th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Hussein Barry.
Here.
Mary Lane.
Here.
Roxanne McDonald.
Here?
Michael Mead.
Here.
James Thorpe. Here. President Petlicoff.
Here. I would like to call to the podium before we begin this meeting our legal counsel, Mr. Tim Courier, who's going to explain tonight's process for everyone so that we all have an understanding of what's going to take place tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. The manner in which the vacancy is filled for board members set forth in the policies of the Dearborn Public Schools that have been established over a number of period years. There are several policies involved, but not all of them are relevant for tonight. The first and foremost requirement is in policy 142.2. To be qualified to be on the Board of Education, an individual is eligible for election as a school board member if the individual is a citizen of the United States and is qualified and registered elector of the school district by the filing deadline. So that's the first and foremost qualifications. They have to be an elector of this district and a citizen of the United States. Vacancies occurred in a number of ways. In this particular circumstance, the vacancy occurred due to an incumbent's resignation. If less than the majority of positions of the Board of Education become vacant, the remaining of the members of the board shall fill the vacancy immediately, but requires a majority of the board vote, which means 4 votes have to be cast to appoint a board member. If the vacancy is not filled within 30 days, then the board of the intermediate school district, in this case Wayne County RESA, shall fill the vacancy by appointment. Just by way of contrast, if a majority of the board had resigned, so you could not have a majority vote, you would immediately go to a special election within 30 days. In filling the board's vacancy, the board shall seek qualified and interested candidates from the community through news media, word of mouth, and contact with appropriate organizations. All applicants are submit a notice of their interest in writing to the board president. The board shall interview all interested candidates who ascertain their qualifications. Appointment by the board to fill the vacancy shall be by a majority vote of the full board. Now, the question has been raised about the interview process. I know the interviews have already been held. You're required to offer an opportunity for the interview. You can't require somebody to interview if they don't want to come to it. It's just that it's an opportunity to do so. With respect to voting, unless specifically authorized by Michigan conflict of interest laws, any board's members' decision to abstain shall be recorded and deemed to be acquiescence in the action taken by the majority. Failure to vote, absent a statutory exception, constitutes a breach of the board's members' duty as a public official. In situations in which there is a tie vote, the abstention represents the deciding vote. Does not represent the deciding vote because motions fail for a lack of majority. So if you have a situation where you have 3 votes versus 2 votes versus 1 vote, there's no action. 3 votes, 2 votes, and somebody abstains without a statutory conflict of interest. that one vote gets counted with the majority. It's not the carried majority, but it's the 3 votes. It feels a little bit like Groundhog Day right now. But that's just a reminder, that's a general process that you go through. Board president is in charge of conducting the meeting and can ask the board members, you have no specific procedure to how you get these people nominated or elected. So you're on your own on that one. And I will stay here, you need guidance to be so consistent.
I do have one question or clarification for everyone. If someone nominates a candidate, that does not need a second.
No, nomination of a candidate does not need a second.
Does not need a second. I just wanted to make it clear to everyone. You can nominate it, you do not need to have a second to move that nomination forward.
If I understand it, under Robert's Rules of Procedure that you have adopted, you get holes in the bylaws and policies, you're allowed to nominate 1 person, you can't nominate 2. So, Madam President, you can't nominate 2 candidates, you only get to nominate 1.
At each time, for each motion, yes. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Any further?
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Yes.
The first round, though, we are not going to put forth, and we're each going to throw out 1 name, and then if there's 4, that will go to a nomination, is that?
That's what we decided at Thursday's meeting, and I do have, the unapproved minutes from that meeting, and that's what was stated then as well, that the first round, what I'm going to ask you all to do after we hear from the citizen participation portion is everybody can first have, lay on the table their thought processes for what they think makes a good board member, why they're looking for certain qualifications for a board member. After that discussion, then I'm going to question each board member to put forward their first choice. Dave Mustardon will keep track on Google Docs so everybody can see the names as they are selected by each one of us. At the time that you put forward your name, that's the time to give your argument or your discussion as to why you've chosen that individual to put forth. Once we have done that, if we see that there has been the same name chosen 4 times, I will call for a motion then. At any time someone can put forward a motion. I can't prevent that once after we've done this first round and put a name out there for a vote. But we could be here a long time if we're just continuously putting forward names. So I'd like to keep this as orderly as possible when we move forward with suggesting motions for approval.
I just have another clarification on that original point. My understanding is when we're bringing our initial discussion, we can put forth a name or more than 1 name as to why, I mean, not bring it forward, just these are the things I'm looking at and I believe this particular person has those qualities.
If you so choose, I mean, it's your discussion. Everybody can handle their conversation about why they're thinking the way they're thinking.
Okay.
But that will not be, I will specifically ask each of you individually to bring forward a name. So the initial discussion will not be anything more than a discussion. Trustee Barry?
From what I understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, the other night is after the first round, let's call it first round.
Yeah.
If we don't get, a direction or
Right.
4 names, same name 4 times, we're gonna continue that process? Are we?
Well, that's why I asked for
Just so on the
to do
same page,
ranking.
from what I
Yeah.
understand from last week,
That's
we
my,
said yes, we agreed
yes,
it was yes.
that is
But I also
my
understand
understanding.
that, anyone can bring a motion at any time.
Right.
The discussion we had is we were.
We'll start with the first round. Each time, if we don't come to a majority vote on the name put forward, then we either revisit the name and we can have more discussion on that original nomination and then try again, or people bring forward a different name.
But that name is not thrown out of the mix?
No.
Okay, just
No.
wanted to make sure.
I said, you can bring forward a different name,
Or the same
maintain
name.
the same name.
So unless the board member throws out a motion during discussion, or I guess right now you can call it a motion, unless the board member throws out a motion, we're gonna continue with the process we agreed on last week.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. you.
That's my understanding. Is everybody clear? Do we have any questions? All right then, next item, please.
Citizen participation. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who are signed in by submitting a blue card to the secretary may speak at this time. The board may not be in a position to respond to non-agenda items, therefore speakers should not anticipate an immediate response to their comments or questions. For the benefit of all concerned, do not mention the names of students or student district employees. Please keep your comments as brief as possible. The board president reserves the right to limit times. And I believe these are all on the agenda item. They are. So, first is, and I apologize if I don't pronounce names correctly, Adel A on the process of filling empty board position.
I'm Adel Adamski. I was one of the 10 candidates that was interviewed. I first want to say the process is definitely unconstitutional. I have hired attorney Mr. Feiger to challenge whoever you choose to put a stay on that person in the federal court, the 6th District Court, which will cost me $50,000 of own money. This should have been done with an election in August, so the voters themselves could choose who's best qualified to sit on the board. You 6 people are not qualified, so that was number one. In reference to our population here in the Dearborn schools, it is overwhelmingly Arab American, which is hostile towards the great state of Israel. I have made a deal with Netanyahu, who's up for election tomorrow in Israel, to work with the people in Bloomfield Township, to move them here to Dearborn so we can even off all the enemies of Israel, especially the Arab Americans in Gaza who shoot missiles to innocent people. And they just look over all day long looking for missiles coming in to Israel. So again, I think the process was not fair, it was illegal, and as soon as I get the name of whoever you choose, he will file papers in the federal court tomorrow not to seat that. That person's gonna have that, that's gonna be an open seat until there's an election in August where the people can decide who they want in the primary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next blue card is from Daryl Donikowski on the board vacancy.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you first for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Daryl Donikowski. I live at 22935 Sheridan, and I've been a resident of Dearborn for over 25 years. Unlike some who were born here, I actually chose to move to Dearborn. A couple of the reasons for that was, number one, the quality education that we do have in Dearborn. Even though I do not have children, many of my friends do. My family have people and kids who go to the Dearborn schools, and we are all proud of it as a city. I also know that that's in part because, well, other people may think otherwise, but it's due in part because we have a caring and experienced board. And you guys, you guys know what you're doing here. And that's partially because of the activism and the community involvement of everybody here in the city. To enhance that and to increase the diversity that we have, we need, and I hope you will join me and you will vote for Adel Mozip to fill the vacancy. He's proven his commitment to the schools and to the children who attend them. He has run a couple of times, but he didn't back down. He has always been here, and even when he lost barely in the last time, he's still here. He goes to read to the students. He takes an active involvement, even not being on the board. But I think including him in the board will help with the diversity, and he'll bring new and innovative ideas to the board and to the city and to the students. His background in IT and software is something that will be very beneficial. And the bottom line is, I think that he is the best candidate. I watched the interviews from last week. I think, obviously we have a lot of people who are committed in the city, for the city, and for the students. But I think Al rises above the others, and I hope you'll vote for him. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next one is Dina Naimi, voting for candidate Mohammed Naimi, and I apologize if I messed that up.
No, you're fine. Dina Naimi, Councilwoman. So good afternoon. My name is Dina Shwaitunimi. I'm here to proudly support my husband, Mohammed Naimi's candidacy for Dearborn School Board of Trustees. I know you had the opportunity to interview Mohammed as well as the other candidates at a professional level, but I wanted to share some of his personal characteristics I believe will make him advantageous addition to the board. So Mohammed and I are both attorneys, and though I work in a firm with over 200 of them, I can honestly say that Mohammed is the best I know, and he's passionate, hardworking, and fair. He has a true talent for approaching an issue at every angle, anticipating all potential setbacks and crafting creative solutions accordingly. His work recently won him the Super Lawyers 2019 Rising Star Award, only presented to the top 2.5% of attorneys in Michigan. Hammoud is going to offer the board a unique perspective. Because before he was a super lawyer and an honors student in law school and in college, you may be surprised to know that Hammoud barely graduated high school. Unfortunately, like many students in our district, Hammoud struggled to be engaged in school, fell behind at an early age, and was very close to giving up on his education. He was not the straight A student registered in honors classes and adored by his teachers. Hammoud can speak to what contributed to his earlier struggles and how he could have prevented this. This perspective is important because we all know that success stories like Hammoud are rare. I also want you to know that Hammoud is not going to take this position lightly. We welcomed a beautiful baby girl to the world 4 months ago. We have some high hopes and dreams for her, and Hammoud understands that her future largely depends on her education and school experiences here in Dearborn. Since our time in school, we've noticed the tremendous strides and improvements Dearborn Public Schools have made. However, there's always more work to do and advances to be made. I know Hammoud's going to provide them with fair and well-thought-out decisions, and I really hope you vote in his favor so this community can benefit to what he has to offer. Thank you so much for your time.
Next is Adel A on the appointment process.
Honorable Board of Trustees, good evening. My name is Adel A, and I stand before you today as a Dearborn resident. I stand before you as someone who has a lot of family members in Dearborn Public Schools, and above all, I stand here as an Adel Mozip supporter. I won't talk about Adel Mozip's qualifications and background. I know there are some other members or some other candidates who applied who are qualified, and I really want to thank them for their willingness to serve our students. However, I want to talk a little bit about the process. Based on what happened in 2017 when a seat became vacant, and based on the board discussion that took place last week, right after the interviews, it looks like there is no comprehensive system in place that guides the board through the process of candidate selection. So, in the absence of a comprehensive system, in the absence of a policy, a procedure in which the board can follow when choosing a candidate, I urge you to consider an individual who ran 2 solid campaigns, an individual who has been advocating for our kids for the past 10 years, an individual who attended so many meetings and interviews, an individual who answered many of Dearborn residents' questions, in which thousands of Dearborn residents believed in his platform. When you're passionate about something, you make sure you make time for it. For the past 2 years, Adel Mozip has attended most of Dearborn Public Schools board meetings to learn about the issues and to learn about the process. If appointed, I have no doubts about his readiness to serve. He's ready to roll up his sleeves and get the job done on day one. Honorable Board of Trustees, last week, each candidate was asked 5 questions. My question is, how much can you really learn about a candidate by asking 5 questions? Were the 5 questions enough to reduce uncertainty and to appoint when appointing a candidate? Were the 5 questions enough to learn about their strengths and weaknesses, their visions and positions on school issues, their values and priorities? Honorable Board of Trustees, speaking of uncertainty, I can't think of anyone with less uncertainty like Adel Mozip. The whole city knows where he stands on issues. The whole city knows where his platform. The whole city knows his vision. They know because they voted for him. They know because he attended so many meetings and interviews. He knocked on 12,000 doors, yet he thought that wasn't enough. He utilized social media, went live and answered Dearborn residents' questions. Speaking of fairness, I certainly believe that Adel Mozip deserved a fair shot this evening. Honorable Board of Trustees, let's be a city that chooses fairness this evening. Let's create a culture of voting for qualified candidates regardless of their political affiliation, the skin of their color, their names, or how they pray, because we're in this together. As I conclude, in the absence of a policy that guides the board and the process of candidate selection, and as you make your final decision, I hope you will consider an individual who dedicated enough time to run 2 solid campaigns and earned over 20,000 votes. As you make your final decision, I hope you will consider the thousands of Dearborn residents who believed in him, who believed in his vision and platform. Finally, I hope you will consider the Michigan Association of School Boards' recommendation. Thank you, and may God help you make the right decision.
Next is Mohammed Ibrahim, on the appointment of a new trustee.
Good evening. My name is Mohammed Ibrahim, and I'm a resident of Dearborn. I wanted to take a few minutes of your time to address a matter related to your process of choosing a new board member to replace Trustee Hammoud. As I was doing research about the candidates, I came across information suggesting that candidate Colette Richards was very involved in the recent campaign of Trustee Roxanne McDonald. On August 8, 2018, Ms. Richards posted on Facebook information announcing that Ms. McDonald is running for school board and asking people to attend her upcoming fundraiser. Part of what she posted was, quote, "We will accept checks at the door too, and when you come, you'll get to see my smiling face." The post is actually relatively long and asks people to help in the campaign in more than one way. She also said that, quote, "We need Roxanne back on the board." I honestly don't personally know either candidate Colette Richards or Trustee Roxanne McDonald, and I don't know how close to each other they are, or how closely involved Ms. Richards was in Trustee McDonald's campaign, but I am bringing this up seeking transparency and full disclosure. I am not an expert in the field to know if this is a clear conflict of interest or not. I am asking if Trustee McDonald was planning on disclosing the extent of this relationship tonight before the process begins, and whether she intends on recusing herself from the process. How does the rest of the board feel about this issue if they are aware of it? Any light you shed on this matter is welcome. I trust that each of you will make his or her choice based on qualifications and what is best for our kids, and not on personal relations or political affiliation. Thank you for your time, and good luck in your deliberations.
May I speak to that?
Yes, Trustee McDonald.
One, I would like to say that I am not recusing myself from the process. And two, I'd also like to say that I do take exception to anyone thinking that a personal relationship I have with anyone would influence my judgment. My judgment is from my heart about who I think is going to serve this board, who I've seen serve this community, who I know has a passion for education, public education, and who has worked for this position. So I take exception when somebody is insinuating that I would not use my own, that I would use a personal interest to make that decision. I absolutely take exception to that.
And let me explain the conflict of interest laws. If there's not a financial component to this, then there's not a reason to recuse yourself. This conflict is only in the fact that many of us know many of the candidates over the years of living in this community. But the fact is that Roxanne McDonald would not benefit financially from any appointment of any other board member unless they were living in her household, and that's not what's occurring at this time. So just to answer that question, I believe our legal counsel could address that so that we can clear this up now. I don't want to leave that lingering.
The board actually has policy on conflicts of interest. It's number 144.3. And Madam President, you were correct. It requires a pecuniary interest in the contract where the money is actually coming from the district to the person where they would be disqualified. Specifically, which we'd have to have is a 5% ownership in a company or 5% or more of the contract cost that the district is paying. For example, if I own a lawn maintenance company and the district hired me to cut football fields, that would be a pecuniary interest. Somebody working for a candidate running for public office, none of the district's money goes to those as individuals. You certainly have a free to work on anybody's candidacy that you wish and take such volunteer positions as you wish.
Okay, thank you very much.
One more thing that I'd like to add to that too is all of us are elected officials sitting at this table, and I'm sure all of us know a tremendous amount of people who are politically engaged and politically active in the community. So I'm sure that we have a lot of dealings with people in the community, people that may have made some phone calls for us or done any number of things for a position that we've run. Many of us have run more than one campaign. So I just wanted to say that I'm probably not the only one that has had someone who has applied for a position also had some kind of interest in their campaign, some kind of helping hand in their campaign.
Thank you. Okay, Trustee Thor.
One thing I'll add to that is that it's tough in these positions because we usually do know more than one candidate. Absolutely. And you're having to choose just one. And we don't necessarily want to hurt anyone's feelings, but we want to put the person that we feel will be best in the seat.
And I would like you all to hold your criticisms until you find out what the decision is, rather than jumping to a conclusion before you've even heard the positions that we are going to take. Thank you. Next.
Derek Al-Hadri on the appointment.
Good evening, my name is Adel A. 7854.
Oh, you don't need to. This isn't city council.
Got it. Good evening, I hope you're all doing well. We're all here in order to come together to get a new board seat member. Although Adel sat through the interview process and answered your 5 questions, which personally I don't think is enough. He has answered thousands of questions from the constituents of the city. To be exact, 11,191 the first time, and 9,517 the second time, and the second time was during the primary. Altogether, it's 20,707 votes. Even though it was a close call both times, he never just disappeared and was still an active member of this community and of this, that says something about his character, and that's why I believe it's him who belongs in that seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mansour Shara on the special board nomination for the vacant seat.
Good evening. Respected trustees and community members, I truly appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. My name is Mansour Shara. I'm actually Vice President of the ICD, the Islamic Center of Detroit on Tarman. That's a volunteer position, so I understand what to be, and how long it takes, and what it takes to be a board member and a volunteer position. But I'm here to really, A, thank you for your commitment, dedication, and effort that you have done for our schools within the city of Dearborn. I'm a Dearborn resident. My son actually is a high school student in Edsel Ford, and we're proud to be Dearborn residents. I'm here to really speak for and support Adel Mozip. He's actually one of the qualified candidates that I have personally gotten to know for 15 years. This is not news to me or to the people that you have heard from before me. Adel, in fact, worked with me on the Digital Connect that was part of Comcast and Cisco program to really educate, develop, and build young leaders within the community. And believe it or not, one of the results of this program, we now have 8 students that attended this program are now in medical schools. All of the 8 students are now part of medical school, and one of them actually is attending here. At a professional level, I'm a faculty member and also a senior technical program manager. So professionally, I have known Adel as well from a professional level. We work together in a lot of different initiatives. What I would like to really leave you with, because I don't want to repeat what others have said. Something that I just read over the weekend from John Maxwell, who is the bestseller and author in leadership and management. One of his books titled What Successful People Know About Leadership, page 72, he said, when you identify a motivated individual, the individual must have the following 4 traits. 1, they exhibit a positive attitude. 2, they can articulate specifically a goal for their life and achieve that goal. 3, they are initiators. 4, they have a proven track record of success. And I personally believe, among other members that attended here from the community, Adel do exhibit these 4 traits. So I kindly ask that you consider him for the new appointment and have a fair assessment of the candidates. And I also did attend the interview last week, and I watched all the candidates going through the questions. Again, thank you for your time, and good luck with the process tonight.
All right, before we begin this process, I just want to make a statement. I understand and I hear your frustration with the process. Quite frankly, this is my 3rd go-round with an appointment process, and I'm not happy with the process. I had hoped as board president this year that our policy committee was going to review this. Unfortunately, the timing of the resignation occurred before the review could take place. We have to follow this bylaw as it is written right now. As much as we would like to look at it and have another way of doing this process. That being said, we understand that the community has a different take on what they see as our board policy, but quite frankly, a lot of it is written in state law. And so we don't have as much flexibility as everybody. It's not as simple as what you think it may be. And that is why the policy hasn't changed in so many years. But I do intend, we did have the Michigan Association of School Boards Legal do a presentation for us in January as soon as I became board president. We went over all of our board policies, and this was one of the first ones on our agenda to take a look at and see how we could rewrite it. Quite frankly, I was a charter commissioner for the city of Dearborn, and it took us 2 years to review and rewrite the city charter. Rewriting bylaws and policies is not a quick one-day fix. There are rules around it. So I appreciate the fact that you are here tonight speaking your feelings. I understand where you're coming from, and now I would like you to indulge us in the process that we're going to take place, and please be respectful of the fact that at this moment in time, it is the board's decision to make. Thank you. Yes, Trustee Thor.
To add on to what you were just saying, when we found out there would be a potential for resignation, we didn't feel that would be the right time to try to change the policy. knowing that it was about to happen. That wouldn't look good to try to put that through right beforehand. So we were intentionally waiting until everything settled down, and then we can address it.
But it will be reviewed. All right then. First, we're gonna open up for discussion, and I'm not going to point to anybody in particular. Would anybody like to start the discussion of what you're looking for in, when you're going through this process of selecting, an appointment?
I'd be happy to start. I am looking for somebody that has a passion for public education and a passion for children and making sure that our students get the quality education that they deserve. I'm looking for somebody who has been continuously engaged in the community, as well as interested in the process and what the board goes through. I am going to put out a name. I have been impressed with Adel Mozip for a long time for a few reasons. One, that he has support of the community. It's been long-lasting support. It's been continuous support, and it continues to grow. He's also determined. He's dedicated. He wants to do this job. He has shown that over and over again because he keeps applying for this job or running for this position. So it shows me in his heart that what he wants to do is further the educational opportunities for our students here in Dearborn, and I think that's huge. He continues to be involved. He learns and grows. He attends the board meetings and college meetings. It also would add diversity to the board. His dedication to students and public education, as I mentioned. His stick-to-itiveness, again, he has just not given up, and I think that just shows, again, how much he desires to do this particular job. I believe he would make an excellent addition to the board. But I also want to mention someone else, because in our process conversation, I had leaned towards the side of the recommendation of MASB, and that was to bring forth your two top candidates. So I also want to mention someone else that, to me, I think that she has some of the same qualities that I'm looking for, and that is Colette Richards. She has a history of involvement and leadership on many different levels in the district. It's been long-standing. She served as the president of the Dearborn PTA Council for many years, and when she was, or when the district was going through a lot of budget cuts, she and I both led parent protests to Lansing on numerous occasions to protest the budget cuts and to advocate for public education. I've seen her at work. I think she has a heart for education. Like I said, it's one of my main objectives in finding someone. Her knowledge of special education needs and the population of our special education student is something that we have been lacking on the board. So I think that expertise would be an asset. She brings in many perspectives, the parent perspective, the student perspective, the advocate perspective, and she had been a district employee. So again, I also believe that she would be an excellent board member. So those are kind of my thought process and the candidates that rose in my mind and November.
Next, is there anybody else who would like to?
Are we putting out names?
We will after we just have, I just wanted to open it for a general discussion first. If everybody's done with that, that will be the next process.
But you also said that I could mention names if that would help.
But that is not putting the names forward yet. Yes.
I think that the main role of the board is to establish a vision for education, a mission. What is it that we really want to do? To develop a strategic plan and with specific and measurable goals. So I'm looking for a person who is capable of having that kind of vision, understanding our mission, and be willing to do all the hard work to put together a strategic plan and to establish goals. Therefore, once that work is done, then you turn to the superintendent and the president to implement the mission, the vision, etc. So I'm looking for a person that not only has the vision and the mission and is willing to work for a strategic plan and goals, but also to understand that they need to supervise the president and the superintendent to achieve and to support the superintendent and president to achieve these goals. So I'm looking for somebody who can also understand management, can also understand what is the overview of education for our students in primary through 12th grade and the college.
Is there anybody else who'd like to add anything? Trustee Fuller?
I believe that our board should reflect the community makeup, and I believe that's something we can work on a little bit with this appointment. I also would like to see the new board member have young children in the district. I think it is important to have members of the board that have literally the skin in the game.
Anyone else? All right, then are we ready to go to our selection? Yes.
I'll speak on
Oh, okay.
topic. So, when I was thinking about this, which has been just about constant, and frequently between 1 and 3 a.m., I thought about it a lot, I reflected on it. I went back, I rewatched all the videos, looked at all of the submissions that people gave to us. I Googled everyone, listened to feedback, and asked people their judgment, people who have good judgment, what things they would advise people who are familiar with this board and with our community. So that's how I started to approach it. And I was very concerned for someone who can maintain the reputation of the board, the district, and the college. Over the last 20 years, we've been ably governed by this board, and this board has done a good job, in my opinion. We've survived very difficult times. We've been in desperate situations practically, mid-year cuts, surprise finances. So we have shown good governance, and I want that to continue. Part of good governance means communicating with each other, being able to innovate and to compromise, means being able to work effectively, to talk together, to have confidence and trust. Unlike our federal government, we need to communicate to each other. We need to try to, and I hope in this process we'll be able to move some of us one way or another. That's our process, but there's also another process that has occurred. So let me back up. So I'm very concerned that anyone would attack the board and the board process. We have to be governed by something. We all know that democracy is a messy process, and it doesn't look pretty sometimes, but that's the way it is. And ultimately, that happens, in our case, just about every 2 years. We're constantly in an election cycle. And our voters have spoken. So I'm going to respect the decision of the voters. And what I want to put forward is that we need to mirror our community. I agree with that, it's already been mentioned. I don't want somebody who thinks and looks exactly like me. I'd like somebody who's very different than me. But I'd like it to be someone who can augment our knowledge and experiences as a group. I want someone who's multifaceted. I want someone who has different, unique perspectives. So the considerations for me are the person's integrity, good reputation, desire and ability, definitely, to represent, ability to work with many different types of people and know what issues to compromise on and which issues to stand on principle and doggedly defend. There has to be someone with broad intellectual knowledge of not just our schools, but the community, the education world. And I think that we need a fresh perspective. So there are a couple of people who have no allegiances, but I should say, first of all, I don't really know any of the candidates. I don't know at all any of the candidates, and I have no ties to any of the candidates. I would like to have somebody who can come on. This person is only going to sit here for a year and a half, and then the voters can weigh in again. And when the voters weigh in, I do not expect to be here then. I do not expect to run again. I hope that whoever they vote for will work well with everyone else who's elected. But I think someone should be here who has a fresh perspective, and I saw that in a couple of people. One person, so I'll put out a couple of names. One person that I saw that in was Samra Luckman. She called herself an intellectual. She is able to compromise. She said to us, I rarely speak in absolutes. She had unusual experience. She had courage. She stopped her interview and said, oh, I want to look back to the question. So I thought she showed unusual presence during the interview process. Again, I think she would bring some diversity to our board. So I thought she was a good candidate. She was up to date on the read by third grade law. So she would be a good candidate that I would advance to the rest of the board. After Ms. Luckman, I also thought Mr. Nemi had professionalism. He had legal knowledge we could absolutely benefit from. He had polish and poise. He was very balanced. Again, he would bring diversity, and our board needs that. But specifically, he knows contracts also. So every single meeting we talk about, we're approving contracts all the time. So for those reasons, I thought that either of those people would be good, but everyone should be thanked, everyone who advanced themselves, because we all know sitting here that it's not easy to sit in front of an audience, take questions like this. People ask us questions like crazy, and it's not easy. I mean, you're subject to lots and lots of public scrutiny. So everyone who advanced themselves deserves our respect, and I want to try to do my best to give that. I thank all of the candidates. There was really an outstanding performance. I hope we can work through this and get someone that we can all agree on.
Trustee Herrick, did you want?
Part of my thoughts, I want to just go right into this.
Well, now,
Okay.
then I'll say my quick thoughts, and then you're saying you're ready to. Okay. I think it's been pretty clear, since this is my third time to appoint, that my philosophy has always been, my two choices the last two rounds were people who had already been duly elected and were former board members. And there was a reason for that. Not only were they experienced with board protocol and the issues that they would be faced for the interim that they would be here, but because they were voted on by the public. And to me, that is important. I don't feel comfortable that 6 of us are making a decision for the entire community. I feel that we're at a disadvantage when we disrespect and ignore the voices of the community who have already spoken at one time or another. The past 2 rounds, we did have some people who had actually obtained that position and were fully elected officials. This round, we don't have that particular circumstance, but we do have an individual who has committed himself to the community on a continuous basis, is known throughout the community. We also, I do agree that we have another candidate who has also been a strong advocate and has put herself out there in the community as well on a regular basis for years, volunteering. They're known in the schools, they're known in their neighborhoods, they're familiar faces, they're voices for their neighbors, they're voices for their students. And to me, that is representative of what this board stands for. We're elected for a reason. This is a democracy. We are elected to represent our neighbors, our other community members. We're not here to be judge and jury and choose an individual because we think that's best for everyone. That's not our role, in my personal opinion. And whether I believe in somebody's policies or politics, I do believe that the electorate is where our voice should be considered. And that's how I am going to move forward in my selection process. So now I'm going to go, maybe we should do it alphabetically. You wanna do it off the roll call?
Who's trustee Barry going to?
Oh, trustee Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're B, so you're alphabetically the
There's no
first.
way to do something first. First, Madam Chair, I'd like to recognize our student counterparts, Zainab and Ibrahim, are still with us here. Thank you.
Getting a little lesson on city politics.
I know they got school tomorrow, so we might have to miss it. We are a very blessed community. I've always said that. And to see what I saw last week and to hear from 2 attorneys, 7 active members of our community, it was an honor. It was a very good process. We heard from 7 people. I don't know if it was mentioned. There's 3 other
There's
people.
3 other, we have, yes, I'm sorry, yes, we have 10 applicants total. 3 were not able to make the interview process, but are still in consideration.
Just want to make sure that give you opportunity.
Yes, thank you, trustee Gary.
Okay. When a vacancy occurred on our school board, I received calls from 3 friends, close friends. One of them I've known since 1972. So quick math tells you that I'm old. I shared my thoughts with them, but I also disclosed that I would approach the process with that in mind. All 3 responded with that they understood and they respected my position. Even though one was still mad at me, none of them applied for the appointment. I, like most of my colleagues, have received many phone calls and many emails the last 10 days or so regarding the appointment process. Went through a lot of the emails, but there's a few I'll just mention. I'll just summarize. One of our constituents says, "Dear Dearborn School Board members, I write to you as a citizen concerning the appointment of the new school board member. I would have hoped that after the last time this happened, there would have been some discussion on how to properly carry out the appointment process. I saw posting on the community forum that the process has not been established yet. And my colleagues spoke about the process, and we were thinking about changing our policy. You see, our current policy, my opinion, is very divisive. The last 2 processes divided our board and eventually poured into our community and divided our community. It has not been fun. See, like our attorney mentioned earlier, our policy is part of our bylaw. What that means is we have the ability to change it. So that means is 6 or 7 board members sat here and put this process together. That is too much power for 6 people to make that decision. 6 people making a decision for 100,000 people, or about 100,000 people in the city. Our council does it a little bit different. Our council, their policy is part of the charter. And the charter commission is elected. They're elected to serve on that commission to review the policy of the city. The policy for the city council reads, if a vacancy occurs on the council, then that candidate not elected receiving the highest number of votes for office of the council member in the preceding election who is qualified and will accept the position shall be appointed to fill the vacancy. Each successive vacancy that occurs on the council should be filled in the same manner. If there is no such person, then the council shall appoint some other qualified individual to fill the vacancy for the next 5 term. The difference between our bylaw and what the city charter says is what I value most. We live in a democracy. We have to respect what our voters, what our constituents say. What I share with my good friends is that the value I have for the voters of Dearborn when they will go into the voting booth. There are 2 applicants in front of us that actually ran a campaign, that actually went out there and talked to constituents. There's one that actually ran for the school board. Like I heard earlier, it's been his dream, it's been his mission, there's nothing else he'd rather do than serve on this board. I've never heard this person mention that he wants to run for council, run for state rep, or run for any other elected office other than the school board. Even though Adel Mozip was the candidate not elected, receiving the highest number of votes for the office of the Dearborn School Board in the preceding election, and even though he didn't just run one campaign, he ran 2, and he's actually talked to thousands and thousands and thousands of our constituents that I heard of and that you heard from. And guesstimating, we heard the numbers, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, receiving almost 10,000 votes, a bit less, a little bit higher in different campaigns. That is powerful. I think that our voters already made our decision. Yes, we have bylaws, we have policies that we have to follow, and that's what we're doing here tonight. The other 2 questions that have to be answered is he qualified, and will he accept the position to fill a vacancy? I think by applying for the vacancy, he already answered question number 2. Question number 1, is he qualified? Again, we all did receive this from MASP checklist for qualified school board member candidate. Excuse me. Checklist for qualified school board candidates. In bold print here it says, put children first. No personal or political agenda. Provide leadership. Appreciate diversity. Understand budget and finances. No educational policy. Demonstrate integrity. Understands community outreach. And expects accountability. I sat through the interview process last week and I took notes. Some good notes. I actually turned my notes into an Excel sheet. Like again, I'm going to repeat, we are blessed for the candidates that we have. And I think it was alluded earlier that there's a campaign, there's an election next year for 4 spots. 4 spots. If you don't get appointed tonight or whenever we do the appointment, I would love to see everybody apply and file and run a campaign and go out there and talk to the constituents and talk to us and go through that process because it's an amazing process. There were 3 candidates that I checked off that had all these values I heard from the interviews. There was another one that still gets an A- in my book. There's only one that person missed. So is he qualified, Adel Mozip? I definitely think he's qualified. I think the voters have spoken the last 2 campaigns. So I am putting forward Adel Mozip to be appointed for the vacancy.
Trustee Lane, we're putting forward now our choice.
Oh, then I'll advance Samra Luckman.
Okay, Trustee McDonald?
Adel Mozip.
Trustee Mead?
Mohammed Mimi.
Trustee Thorpe?
Adel Mozip.
And President Petlicoff? Adel Mozip.
Put a motion on the table to offer Adel Mozip for appointment for Dearborn School Board.
I second.
You don't even need a second?
All right, we don't.
Roll call, please.
That was easy.
Hussein Barry.
Yes.
Mary Lane.
No.
Roxanne McDonald.
Yes.
Michael Mead.
No.
Jim Thorpe, yes. Mary Petlicoff.
Yes. Adel Mozip, you are now. All right, we need to make a motion. Wait, we're not done yet. We need to make the official motion. Okay. Do you wanna read it as it's printed here? Move there.
For the action item?
Yeah.
Move that action item 1 be approved as recommended in this agenda.
Well, move that Adel Mozip be
All right.
nominated to serve as trustee of the P-12 Board of Education and the Henry Ford College Board of Trustees until the certification of the next school board election on November 3rd, 2020.
So move.
Support?
And we already had the roll call vote. We are adjourned. And I want to thank all of those applicants who put forward the time and effort to, and as you said, 2020 is an election year. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah,
Okay, see, I did.
Yeah.
Drive careful.
ألف مبروك.
Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
عادل عادل. Okay, so as you guys saw, Adel Mozip was just voted in as a new trustee to replace trustee Fadwa Hammoud's spots. Nufaila, how many votes did he get? No. How many votes? You got 4, right? 4, perfect. So he got 4 votes. I think he got from trustee Sorb, trustee Petlicoff, trustee Burri, and trustee McDonald. Trustee Mary Lane, she voted for Samara, and trustee Mead, he voted for, I'm gonna try to remember the name. I'm gonna try to have an interview. Adel Mozip, we're live on Facebook. I need just a first impression from you. So we're trying to take an interview with Adel so we can see his feedback after he just was voted in. Alif Mabarouk. Adel, I know it's I don't know if it's a shock or not, but
overwhelming.
it is overwhelming. What's your feeling right now?
I can't describe it in words والله بصراحة بس alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this, and thanks to my family and to all the supporters, and thank you to all the board members, all of them, for entrusting in me, and inshallah I will serve the Dearborn residents well, and I ask God to help me in this, and thank you so much. Wallah, I'm out of loss. Honestly, no.
That easy? I mean,
no.
It's only took 1 round.
Not really, no. But alhamdulillah, I think it's long overdue, and I'm glad this is the case and we can move on. And right now, let's get to the issues and hopefully get a lot of things resolved for our residents and continue the successes that we've had at the Dearborn schools and colleges. So I ask everybody to help me and to challenge me and to ask me and to reach out to me, and inshallah I won't disappoint you.
What's your message to the community, and especially to those who've been supporting you for the past 2 elections and the past 2 appointments? What do you want to tell them?
I can't thank them enough again, and this everybody knows this has been my passion, my dream. So thank you so much for everybody. Thank you, Nufaila. And to everybody who supported me throughout all of this. This is all to you and for all your hard work. So thank you so much. Thank you, Hussein. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. So this is it, guys. Adel was just voted in by Dearborn Board of Education as a new trustee to replace trustee Fadwa Hammoud. We took an exclusive interview with him just right now, and I've seen some of the comments from you guys congratulating Adel on his. You guys wanna come on, Najwa? Come on. You were his manager for the last election. Come, Najwa, how are you feeling?
Very good. I'm feeling very excited. I feel like
You look emotional.
I am very emotional. I'm really happy that the board decided to do what was ethical and what was right at this, in this point in time. I'm very excited. I'm really happy for him. I think that he's earned it. He deserves it.
What do you want to tell Adel?
Congratulations, and I'm just so excited beyond. I can't even begin to describe how excited I am. Very happy.
I'm gonna try to take more people to take your feedback about the process. So like we told you guys, 6 votes were on the table. 4 votes went to Adel from the first round. He got votes from Trustee Sorb, from Trustee McDonald, Trustee Pachlikov, and Trustee Burri. The only 2 trustees who didn't give him his votes were Trustee Mary Lane and Trustee Mead. So Adel Mozip is officially now a trustee. Not officially, he still have to come to the office to notarize his appointment. After they notarize his appointment, in the next meeting he will be basically doing the swearing-in ceremony and joining the meeting. So everyone is congratulating Adel. Amal is saying go Najwa. Alex saying congrats from Florida, you deserve it. Nufaila, can I take a small interview from you? Yalla, very short. Very short.
Real quick.
What's your feedback about what happened today?
Oh,
First round, in 1 round.
I'm very, very happy. The
Did
people.
you expect it to be from the first round?
You know what? I expected the board. We put our trust in them. I expected them to do the right thing, and they did. The voters have spoken. I don't know. They've spoken 20,000 times, so I think this was perfect. I'm very, very excited. I'm very happy because I think Adel is going to serve our students the right way.
What, in your opinion, what's the new thing Adel is gonna bring to the table?
Well, Adel has a fresh image and a new perspective, and he's going to bring a lot to the students. And you know what? Adel is the kind of person that doesn't disappear after a campaign. He continues to work, and he's been working. He worked before his campaigns, he worked during his campaigns, and he remained. I mean, he used to come and sit here. I sit here as PTA council president, but he would come out after work and sit here and listen to the board meetings for 3 hours. For what? There he is. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nufaila. Thank you. So I'm trying to can I do a short interview with you on WhatsApp Media? Just very short, just your feedback. No, you're good. You want to say something on WhatsApp Media? We're live on Facebook. Okay, I'm trying to get more feedback. Rashid, come.
Not doing it for the public.
I know. Amir, would you want to say something on the live stream? No, you're good.
Is it live?
It's live.
Congratulations to the community. The community got very involved, and it's important that everyone got involved in the process. And I think the board took this seriously, and I think everyone should be happy with what they do and going through it. And of course, there's an election in a year from now. So yeah.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So there's an election a year from now. There's 4
Yeah.
seats.
Yeah.
You applied for this position.
Yes.
Are you gonna run?
I don't know. It's something that I'll have to take into account. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Let us know.
All right. Thanks.
Habibi, thank you. Iyad. Come. So no, come. You're on camera already. So we had Amir with us. I'm gonna talk about Amir's interview very shortly. Iyad, as a friend and as a supporter to Adel, how are you feeling right now? I was sitting next to you and you were jumping.
I feel very excited. I think
But
Adel,
tell me what tell him what I told you.
he told me right away. He told me that Adel got this, so I feel really excited. We've been here since 6 p.m. So it's. I mean, honestly, Adel really deserved it. He ran really 2 solid campaigns. It's about time. It's about time. A lot of people have spoke. Adel have dedicated so much time into this, and alhamdulillah, he got it today.
I mean, we want to say congratulations to the Yemeni community too. I mean, it's for the whole community, but congratulations. Board members, they mentioned that they wanted to basically represent the whole community and its diversity. And this was one of the reasons they voted for their choice. I mean, they made it clear today.
I mean, Adel didn't run as a Yemeni American, but he ran to serve the whole Dearborn, to be an advocate for the entire students in Dearborn. So, of course, we want diversity on the board, and this is what happened today, so we're glad that this happened. And I'm sure that Adel is going to do whatever it takes to fight and advocate for all students, no matter what their name is, no matter what the color of their skins, no matter how they pray. Adel is going to be there for them, and we're in this together.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I'm trying to bring more people to basically interview them and talk about the process and talk about the thing that just happened right now. I took a short interview with Amir Zahar. He was one of the candidates who who applied for the position. We asked him if there is an election in a year in 2020 if he's going to be running, and he said he's going to be considering that. So we'll keep an eye on that and we'll see if he's going to be running or not. But there is 4 positions that's going to open up on 2020, including this position that was appointed to it right now. So I'm trying to get more interviews. Let's see if Trustee Burry, would you be able to say something? We're done from the voting. Jim, come. We're live. Come on. Just very shortly. I'm not going to ask you anything. Just very shortly. Just your feedback. Your financial thing. You nothing. Okay. We have, if you can, just one step more. We have Trustee Jim Thorpe with us. Tell us about the process. Were you thinking this is going to be done in just one round?
I was hoping that we'd be able to get through it all tonight.
Okay. Can you tell us, just more feedback? How did you make your decision? You chose Adel today based on what?
Based on wanting to make sure we continue to have a diverse board, and we're not reflective of the community at large. I also think it's important to have people that have children in the district, and right now I'm really the only one that has kids in the district, so I think that's very, very important as well.
What do you think Adel will bring to the table?
Again, diverse backgrounds. So I think that should be able to help us, allow us to see things in a different light.
Awesome. Thank you. See, it was short.
Sure.
Leslie, can I have you on camera very shortly?
Sure.
Okay, we're live over here. We have councilwoman Leslie Herrick with us. What's your feedback about the whole thing?
I appreciated what each of the board members who spoke had to say before they announced what their vote was going to be and their decision. I'm glad that they're listening to the people. So many people have spoken out about their process over the last 2 years, and that it seems more democratic, that you're including what more of our residents of Dearborn wish when you look at what was the last election. And so I'm glad to see that they seriously considered that, because I know there were some very well-qualified candidates here that went through the interview process. So I'm glad with the outcome.
What's your message to Adel?
Congratulations, Adel. I know you've worked really, really hard, and I know you will continue to do that for the students and the families here in Dearborn.
Thank you. Okay, so we are from Dearborn Public Schools Administrative Building. We're still broadcasting live from here. Trying to see if we can get more interviews and feedback from people who are still here, but basically what's happened today, Adel Mozip was just appointed, voted in as a trustee to replace trustees Hammoud. Mary, are you ready to talk after the meeting? Just very briefly. Very briefly. We're live on Facebook. We have Trustee Mary Pechlikov with us. Tell us about the process. Did you think this was going to be done from the first round?
No, I really wasn't sure, but I had confidence that the board understood that they didn't want to have the same thing happen that happened the last time, and that we were really committed to finding an appointment as soon as possible so that we could move forward. We've had so much on our plates in the last few months. We want to get back to the business of taking care of the school district.
Just one step forward so I can have you. One thing you mentioned is basically your decision, you made it based on the voting that happened in the last election. Am I right?
Well, that was a part of it. My philosophy has always been that I don't like having 6 people being in control of what the community needs. I don't think we're that right. So I've always chosen past board members who were duly elected if they were seated before me for the applicant process. This time it was Adel, because he had also shown a commitment, and the voters had shown a respect for him, and he had touched the community, and he continued to be engaged. So that to me was what was the points that I was looking for.
So my question based on that, how could Is it possible for the board to vote or make a decision to change the bylaws and make it based on who gets the most votes from the last election?
The problem with doing who gets, and because I'm familiar with, and because I'm familiar with the city charter, because I was a charter commissioner, and I did review that charter and how we do it for city council. But city council all runs at one time, so they all are gathering the same amount of voters during that election cycle. We have a staggered vote, so it's every 2 years you're going to have a different number of board seats open and a different election cycle, where next year it's going to be a large voter turnout because you will have somebody getting 20,000 votes. The following election cycle, you could have nothing on the ballot and a very low voter turnout. So that person who participates in that lower voter turnout, it isn't by the nature of who they are as a candidate that they received lower votes necessarily. And since we don't ever know when somebody's going to resign, and this has been very unusual to have 3 resignations in the past 6 years. So I'm hoping this trend will be broken now, and that we will have some people seated on the board who don't want anything other than to be seated on the board. So that's my hope.
What do you think Adel will bring to the table, and what's your message to the community? We'll end with this.
Well, I've known Adel for years. I knew him when my kids were students at Edsel, and he was a college student coming in. I know that Adel has grown a lot over those years. He was an activist then, and I think that he understands now that he needs to represent an entire community while bringing to the table his perspective of his own neighborhood community and his background of growing up in the Yemeni community. But quite frankly, it has to translate to the entire district. So that's where he's going to grow more while sitting on the board. But he will also bring a commitment and a passion, and that's what I always expected.
So from now, he's going to be notarized in the office, and
he will actually take an oath, because you have a 10-day window, and it has to be done before a notary. And so that can be done in the office, but we always have the symbolic swearing in, and that will be at the college meeting. Yes.
Which this is going to take place
next Monday.
Okay, perfect. Anything
Okay. No, I have not. I'm just thankful that we didn't have any divisive actions being taken on the board, and that we were able to select somebody in the first round. I'm very grateful.
You get to leave early. You get to leave. Thank you, President Pachlikov, for the interview. So good night. Thank you. So this was it for us. We took feedback from attendees. We took feedback. From the school board trustee. So what happened today, basically? Adel Mozip just got appointed to replace Trustee Fadwa Hammoud. He's going to be a trustee on the Board of Education for Dearborn. He's going to serve until the next election that's going to happen in 2020, and he has to run, and so he can retain his seat. He received 4 votes today from the first round. So Trustee Burri, Trustee. Let me give them to you. Trustee Hassan Burri, he voted for Adel. Trustee Roxanne McDonald, she voted for Adel. Trustee Jim Sorp, he voted for Adel. And Trustee Mary Pachlikov, she voted for Adel. Trustee Mead and Trustee I think Trustee Mead, he voted for Muhammad Na'me, and then Trustee Mary Lane, she voted for Samara Lukman. So Adel got 4 votes. He's now a trustee. He's going to be coming to the office so he can basically notarize the appointment. And then on the next meeting that's going to happen next Monday, it's going to be the official swearing-in ceremony for Adel. So it's going to happen at the college, in Hereford College. And this is how the process is going to go. This was Hassan Hashim reporting for WhatsApp Media Network. We've been here since 6 p.m. trying to bring you the latest on that topic. And we always try our best to bring you the latest when it comes to Dearborn Heights, the area around us. So please make sure you like WhatsApp Media Network, the page on Facebook and on Instagram, because we always bring you exclusive news and exclusive stories and exclusive interviews that nobody is able to bring it to you guys. We are always on top of things, so please make sure you like the page, you share this video, you share this live stream, so more people can be educated, more people can be engaged about the process and the topics that are going on here in the city and the surrounding city around us. So it's already late, guys. We have to go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to comment and share this video, like the page, and I'll see you soon. Until next time, this was Hassan Hashan reporting for WhatsApp Media Network Web TV. Thank you.